Wow, that is quite the pour, Stephen.
Well, we've got to get through this episode. Is that our cold opening?
Maybe. Remember the other day when you said, Hami, it's not Google AdWords, it's Google Ads. It changed like in 2017.
Yes. And that's still true.
Nobody's ever said anything about it.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
You've joined B2B Happy Hour with your hosts, Stephen Brent May and Hami Arrington. This is the place where B2B marketing meets BYOB. So pour yourself a glass, pull up a chair, and let's get this happy hour started. We're back for episode 3. Hami, third time's the charm.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yes. But before we begin, follow, like, subscribe, and then also leave us a rating, write a review. That's really important, especially with the new podcast, for us to get that out there. Hopefully the reviews are good.
Yeah, if you don't have anything good to say, then don't review us, please.
Right. Unless it's about somebody else, then just call us and let's talk about that directly.
Right, exactly. We can handle it.
Yeah, we like the tea.
Mm-hmm.
Before we dive into what we're talking about, should we talk about what we're drinking?
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So today we have Colleen Clemens Pinot Noir 2021 from the Willamette Valley in Oregon.
In case you didn't know, it is pronounced Willamette. Rhymes with dammit. Willamette.
Yes. I love an Oregon Pinot.
I do too. I used to not like them. But then I went there to visit my sister and then I started loving it.
It's how I feel about port. I used to not like port.
I heard that once or twice, or literally every time we go to dinner.
I tell that story every time I have port.
If you want to hear the story, you'll have to take Stephen out to dinner.
Yes, and we have to get dessert. So, yeah, I'm excited about this wine. We'll see how it goes. We'll let you know at the end of the episode what we think.
Hey, Stephen, before we dive into what we're going to talk about today in marketing, what's been going on in your world?
I just got back from a trip to Greece. It was a friend's trip, a vacation, a proper vacation from the office.
I'm so jealous.
It was a cruise, so we got to hit up like several of the islands, Rhodes, Mykonos, but it was a pretty cool getaway, Bodrum, Turkey. So while we hit up Greece, we were actually in Asia for a part of it.
Oh.
And we confirmed that because we asked the boat captain's wife if we were on the Asia side of Turkey. And she was like, no. And then her husband was like, yes, you are. How do you not know where you're at? And I was like, listen, it's fine. We know how I am with geography. So
legitimate question. Is the reason why you brought that up is because I'm Asian?
Yes. No.
Okay, I'm so proud of you for going to Asia.
Is it AAPI month?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll bring it up again when that happens.
It's Hispanic
Yes.
Hispanic
Heritage Month. Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is so. This is always my thought every time this month comes around every year. I think it's really cool actually that it starts on September 15th and it goes through October 14th or whatever.
Yeah.
Because then you always remember it's like different than all the other months.
Right.
So
happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
yes, exactly.
What have you been up to, Hami?
Well, been doing a lot of work because somebody was on vacation. So holding the fort down while you've been gone. But after you did come back, though, my husband and I took a trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's our first time there. And really didn't know what to expect. It was funny because we had planned a trip to Albuquerque or to New Mexico. We were going to Santa Fe to go to the Meow Wolf there. Not the only reason why, a catalyst reason why to go there. That's where the original Meow Wolf was created. And we were going to go to White Sands and stay there for a day and then go to Albuquerque and stay for a day and then go over to Santa Fe. But then once I started talking to people about Santa Fe or going to New Mexico in general, people were like, oh my gosh, you have to go to Santa Fe. It is the best town ever.
I've heard that.
Yes. And so we changed our entire trip. we ended up going to Santa Fe the entire time. Stayed at a really cute place though called Casa Culinaria, and it's a B&B.
Not an Airbnb.
Not an Airbnb, a B&B, Casa Culinaria. It's a property, and this couple has several little cottages and rooms, and they made breakfast for us in the morning, and it was really nice. The husband runs the property, and the wife cooks the food, and she's a trained chef. So
Nice.
it was really cool.
Was Santa Fe as magical as people talk about?
I would not categorize it as magical. It was cute, and it was a very slow pace. We were the youngest people there by probably 20 years. So I guess it depends on what you describe as magical. So a lot of older people there. No children. That means that there are no children. So I guess for some, that's probably considered magical.
That's very similar. The cruise line that we do, Virgin, it's also no kids, which for us is pretty magical.
Yeah.
No offense to parents, but.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure that parents want a break sometimes too. So something else that this is actually a topic that we talk about fairly often in the One Foot Over office. We talk about AI a lot, and of course we use it, and everybody's using it, and I think that's the great thing is everybody's using it. The problem is also everybody's using it. Okay. So I heard this term earlier this week called the slop-pocalypse. That's where we are, is the slop-pocalypse, because people are just putting slop together with AI and putting it out into the world. And one of the things that was brought up regarding the slop-pocalypse was a really interesting podcast network that has popped up. And this podcast network is called Inception Point AI. And it's all AI. Literally all AI. The content is AI. The hosts are AI. They have 4,000 shows. 4,000 different shows.
Like separate shows?
Yes, 4,000 different types of shows. And they put out 3,000 episodes a week.
Who is listening to that?
I don't know. I don't know who's listening to it, but it only costs them $1 to make per episode, which is really inexpensive. I don't know. I guess the biggest cost here for us is the wine, right?
Right. So after we got everything set up.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. There's an investment cost on the front. But yeah, $1 to make. And I guess what they're saying is as long as 20 people listen to an episode, they make money on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I saw earlier this week on LinkedIn, I believe, our friends at Speakerbox Media talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger's podcast, I believe is AI.
Really?
I think so. I could be completely wrong about that. So
they AI'd his voice?
Yeah. Oh, and it's not actually him talking. Like it's just like an AI avatar of his voice. Is that the right word for a voice when an avatar still?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. I would like somebody fact check me on this, but I believe his podcast is completely done with AI as well.
Fun fact. So is the B2B Happy Hour.
Right. We're not real.
Okay, so the last thing about this. Oh, I know that people are wanting to know like where to find this in case they want to listen to it, but it is the website is quietperiodplease.com. And some of the podcasts, I looked through and listened to it to see if it was good or not. And some of the podcasts that are included, I'm not going to list all 3,000 of them, okay, or 4,000 of them. The Confidence Coach.
Okay.
Bunkers. It's all about bunkers.
The game?
No.
What is Bonkers?
What is Bunkers the game?
Maybe I'm thinking of Uncle Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers from the Righteous Gemstones.
That should be a real show.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be a real show. No, bunkers like where people would hide in case
bunkers.
Yeah, bunkers.
Oh, I thought you said bonkers
no,
with
bunkers,
an O. Bunkers. Oh, okay. Now we're on the same page.
Yes. Creatine is just creatine. Creatine.
That sounds straightforward.
Yes. And then Dollars and Cents with Penny Power.
Huh.
Yeah.
So we don't need Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman anymore if we have penny power.
No.
Perfect.
No. Yeah.
I don't think I'll be subscribing anytime soon. I mean, is there anything else coming up for 1 Foot Over?
Oh, yeah. We are doing a webinar that's coming up. It's called Scary Content Mistakes That B2B Marketers Make with AI. That's happening on October 30th. I'll be presenting along with Val. And it's going to be a really scary, spooky time.
So October 30th, scary content mistakes. That feels very like planned.
Yes.
Will you be
How
in
about
costumes?
You're going to have to sign on to find out.
All right. Check out our website to register.
Yeah. And the link will be below too.
Yep. All right. Let's dive into our marketing topic. This week, instead of talking about the work or, the thing, we're going to talk about the people that do the work.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the top 7 traits that make a good B2B marketer. And it doesn't have anything to do with Google AdWords.
It's Google Ads, and it has been since 2017.
Oh, whatever, Steven.
I'm gonna need you to get on board with that. Probably still call it Google Business Profile. Or no, what was it? Google My Business.
Google My Business was what it was.
See, I know the right words.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about this, when we're talking about the 7 traits, and this is full disclosure, something that we believe are the 7 traits that make a good B2B marketer from what we've seen in hiring, mentoring, working with people. It's really not just about the skills.
No, I don't think it's about the skills at all. It's about the mindset, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can have the skills all day long, but if you're missing, the attitude and those things, like it's all for naught.
So before we jump in though, Steven, can we talk about like these skills? What about this nature versus nurture? Is this something that is inherent? These traits, are they inherent in people, or can you grow these skills?
I think let's focus on those as we talk about each one, because I think it's different. I think some skills you can teach and you can build that muscle, but I think some of them, like, it's a lot harder to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And then also, can we talk about these index cards? I wanted to feel like a talk show host, so I really, leaned in with branded index cards for this. Yeah. All right. Let's dive in. The first trait, and I think this is really important to you and I, and it's one of our shared values at 1 Foot Over, is curiosity.
Yeah, I think curiosity, that's something that I think that this is something that is inherent in some people, but some people it's not. I think that when you're younger in your career, you feel like asking questions, because if you're curious, you're going to ask questions.
Right.
I think that a lot of times the perception, if you are not as experienced, is that when you ask questions, it sounds like you don't know anything.
Right.
And the reality is you don't know anything, but it doesn't really matter your experience level. you should ask the questions.
I think that's something that I think there's a mindset too, that like I graduate college with a marketing degree and get a marketing job, and somebody hired me because they think I'm a great marketer because I got this degree. And it's like, literally nobody expects you to know anything. Like, you didn't get hired because somebody thought you were a great marketer. They thought you were teachable. They thought you were somebody that could be mentored into being a great marketer. Nobody is hiring a college graduate with the expectation that this person is good at marketing at that point.
Yeah. No, when you graduate college, sure, you know the 4 Ps,
right,
which I feel like comes up more on this podcast than it does in real life.
It literally has never come up in my life after college until this podcast.
Right. Yeah. So, like the 4 Ps, or you are taught strategic thinking, but that's not anything. I mean, you can know the frameworks, but until you're actually in it and you're actually working with real life situations and gaps in knowledge, I think that's a huge thing. That's why you have to be curious, because you're really not going to have all of the information for anything that you're tasked with. However, what you can do is ask questions to understand where the gaps are. Because reality is, a person who's giving you a task or is asking something from you, they may not know everything that you need to know.
Right. Well, and I think going back to your point of that, being afraid to ask questions too, I think a lot of that insecurity is because you're afraid that somebody's going to feel like, well, they're not qualified if they're asking these questions. And that's not the case at all. And to me, I would rather somebody ask me 50 questions versus just saying, okay, I got it. And then they go off and produce something that completely misses the mark and we have to start over. And I think that's what the result of that is. A lot of times that need or that desire to just feel like I've got it under control because I'm not curious enough to ask more questions and dig deeper. That's the result of it. You end up with like subpar work it just doesn't hit the mark.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to bring in another point too about the curiosity. Is the reason why you need it is because systems like HubSpot or Google AdWords, they change all the time, right?
Right.
And companies change all the time. Clients that you work with, the company that you work for changes all the time. And so by being curious and asking questions and poking around, even, it doesn't have to be questions, right? It could just be poking around in a system. There's no telling what you can learn and get this fuller picture. I know that I hear this all the time. I need more context. I need more context. Well, a lot of times I don't know what kind of context to give you because I don't know what you know.
And a lot of times, like, we don't have more context. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, people aren't actively withholding information for the most part. Like, it's...
Speak for yourself.
But we have to go out and find it ourselves. So it's like, because you and I are curious people, I think to your point, like if I see a new like HubSpot, like inbound, I know there's like hundreds of new features. I don't have time to dig into all of them, but I am curious enough to know like what's going to be beneficial for us. And I think that, that's the important part is like, I'm curious enough to find out what's happening. And that's such an important trait. And nobody's judging you for asking a question and trying to find out more. All right. So Hami, with curiosity, can that be taught? Or is that just something that's you've got or you don't have?
It's a trait that you can fake until you understand it better. Because I think that this is one, I would say that out of the traits that we have on the list, this is probably one that is one of the most rewarding. Even if you're not naturally one to ask questions, once you start asking questions, it can become a habit for you. And then you have better information, and then you have a better understanding of what needs to happen.
Right.
So I don't know if the curiosity part is necessarily taught, but you can learn how to work around that.
Yeah. So if you're not a curious person, fake it till you make it.
Yes.
All right.
I have another, just a really quick thing about curiosity though, because we're talking about this in the context if you're if you're looking for this trait in a team member, say you're a hiring manager, how would you test for this? How would you find this out?
No, that's a great question. I'm not sure I have an answer for that. Do you?
I do, because This is something we do in our hiring process.
So it's just so innate in me that I don't even remember it.
You don't even remember it. Yeah. What we do is, remember, we'll give maybe a case study to a prospective employee and give them specific information, but leave something out that makes it fairly impossible for them to effectively do whatever the exercise is without asking the question. Yeah, but it's not and it's something very blatant, right? So, I mean, I know that that's what we've done in the past.
It's essentially the technical challenge on the One Foot Over
Yes.
Bake Off.
Yes. Oh, that's what we should call it. Should say, well, we have one thing. It's a technical challenge.
We have the signature, the technical, and the showstopper.
Yes.
All right.
That's what we should do.
Oh, we've just branded our hiring process.
Yes, we did.
Perfect. So let's move on to number 2, strategic thinking. I feel like this is a skill that 98.257% of marketers say they have.
I agree. And I will say that on my Clifton strengths, 32 strengths.
Out of 34?
Oh, excuse me. It's out of 34 strengths. Numbers are hard. They're scary. They're not really, though. Anyway, out of 34 strengths, it is, I think, number 30. Strategic.
Wow.
Strategery.
I think it's higher on mine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's higher on mine. But
there are other things that are under that category. And so, I mean, before you ask the question, Stephen, if this is something that can be taught, it absolutely can be taught.
yes, I 100% agree. And when we're talking about strategic thinking too, it's not this idea of like, can you put together a marketing strategy? Like I don't actually think you have to have strategic thinking to put together a strategy document.
Mm-mm.
It has nothing to do with putting together a document. It's how you think about problems, how you think about solutions. And I do 100% think this is a skill that can be taught. I do think some people innately think this way, but I agree. I think it can be taught.
Yeah. It's very surprising to me. And maybe all 34 of my strengths are truly strengths.
Well, they are. That's the thing. That's the thing people get wrong about Clifton strengths. It's 34 strengths, just ranked in the order of like how they show up in your life, not 17 down are weaknesses.
Right.
So
to me, when I look at strategy, this is how I think about it. Maybe this is one of those situations where I've learned how to think through what strategy is. It's really, if you're able to think 2 or 3 steps ahead, right? Do you know where you're going? Do you know what the goal is? And then keeping that top of mind as you're putting the plan together on what you need to do. Can you think about things that could go wrong? Can you see around corners? And I think that that's something that people don't do. A lot of times it's like they're shooting from the hip, even though they think that they're not. And they're seeing like what sticks, right? With marketing, there are resources that have to be put into everything that we do. And so it's really in everybody's best interest for somebody to think through at least 2 steps ahead of what needs to happen.
Yeah. And I think there are times like that we don't have all of the information, and we're never going to have all of the information. And this concept of like, well, I can't move forward without this piece, I think is dangerous because that's how we get stuck. So how do we navigate around that? How do you think, okay, well, here's the potential outcomes if we don't know exactly the pain points or whatever for our target? Like, we have an idea of what they might be. So let's message around that, and let's create messaging that addresses all of the possibilities and refine that. Like this idea of like, I've got to know everything before I can do anything, I think is where strategic thinking kind of falls off the rails sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would say that when I learned it was in grad school. So one of my favorite things that we did in grad school was cases. So there'd be a business case. You get like this case, it would be like 20 pages of information, kind of just laying out the situation. And at the end, it would be some questions. And then in class, what would happen is we would talk through the problem and through the case. And my favorite classes, I hated it at first, but I feel like I learned so much from it for a lot of different reasons, was the Socratic method. So our professor, he would say, okay, so Hami, what is your answer here? And then I would ask the question. And if I didn't answer immediately, then he would move to the next person immediately. And you didn't know when he was going to call on you or anything like that. And it was terrifying, just terrifying at first. But then I really got used to it and I really liked it, which I think that have carried on into my life, you know, in my life, my work life now. I think that this also teaches you how to be strategic pretty quickly, right? You're able to, okay, so I've got to be thinking the entire time on like, what is the next move? And then also keep your attention on what you're doing right now.
Right. So we both agree strategic thinking is a skill that can be taught.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if you don't feel like you have that right now, don't worry. There are ways to learn this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I really miss doing those case studies. So if anybody wants to start like a club, I would totally be into that.
Y'all have fun with that. All right. So I feel like the third trait, the first two really lead into this. So these first three are really related. It's this idea of clarity before tactics.
Yeah. There's so many times when we're tasked to do something and we just start working immediately. Or that seems to be the inclination for people to start working immediately. Oh, we have to, you know, we're under deadline. It should have happened yesterday, or we're behind on a goal, or we should have hit this goal. You know, we only have a week to put this together. And, you know, we always have to take a pause. I think this is the trait, is you have to be clear on what needs to happen first. What is the important thing here? And then move forward with that in mind.
Right. It's the adage, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, a term that we use internally a lot is we work right to left instead of left to right.
Right. Well, and I think like this idea, and I think this goes back to strategy too. A lot of times clients, executives, they will say, what we really need is a strategy. And what they mean is we need a plan. They're not asking for a strategy. We've had experiences with clients where they say, well, I feel like we're missing a strategy. And then we put together what is essentially a strategy. And they say, but I don't see a list of tasks with deadlines. It's like, well, that is not a strategy. That comes next. But that's that clarity before tactics. If we don't have the clarity of where we're trying to go, then we can't put together a list of tactics with deadlines. Right. Otherwise, we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks.
Yeah, and that's just a waste of food.
Well, we know how you feel about wasting food.
Right. I mean, I'm Asian.
Right. I mean, it's, I don't want to say that you should just stop all your marketing until you're clear, because I don't believe that. I mean, that's not saying okay, we don't know 100% where we're going, so let's stop everything for 6 months until we get really clear. You can still keep the wheels moving. You can still send emails. You can keep your ad campaigns running, but in the background, you're figuring out, okay, is this the right direction? What are we really trying to achieve here? And then let's build on what we're doing, or let's keep that going so that your brand isn't disappearing from the internet or disappearing from the ethos. So I think that fear of well, if we stop everything, then nobody's going to know. You don't have to do that. Yeah,
I would say that this is something that we have to deal with a lot. I mean, just all the time, right? Of being just behind the eight ball. I feel like we're using a lot of idioms today.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, can you teach somebody to stop just being tactical? Is that something that people are just well, no, I'm a doer. I'm good at the tactics. I don't have time. Is this teachable? Is this trainable?
Oh, this is a hard one. I think that, again, it goes back to, I think that you can fake this, right? By putting in stops in your process to ask the questions, to understand what the goal is. Because if you understand the goal, I feel like that's 90% of it. If you know what the goal is, then okay, so I know where I'm trying to get to, and then you can build the tactics out there later. But I think that there are people that are tactical, just super tactical, and that's really what their superpower is. But I think that, I know this is not your question, but if you were going to choose somebody who was tactical versus strategic, I would say that most people would go with somebody who's more tactical, because at least when they're just doing tactics, something is getting delivered. Done. Right. You're actually delivering that.
Well, and I think, I mean, not to go off on a tangent about like the attitudes about the importance of work and strategy and stuff, but I think that's a disservice that has happened in, let's just say, our society, where like individual contributors are not as valued as like managers. And so the people that think they're strategic, there's more value placed on that than like just a kick-ass individual contributor who sometimes should be making twice as much as a manager.
Sure.
So not a lukewarm take yet. We've got one of those coming later, but
but going back and to answer your question, if it's something that it can be taught, I don't know if you can teach like the deep strategy, but what you can do is understand that a lot of when people say they want a strategy, and so you touched on this earlier, when they're actually looking for strategy, they're saying that they want strategy. What they want to know is that you have it under control.
Right.
That's really what they're asking for. And how do you look like you have it under control? You have a plan in place, and there's some reasoning behind it. And then boom, you're strategic.
Well, and at the end of the day, if you can't communicate the why, if the client, the executive, your boss, if they can't see the strategy, they can't see the plan, there might as well not be one, because to them there is none.
Right. Exactly. I mean, this is what we say all the time. It's like, if you don't show how you got there, if you didn't show the strategy, then there was no strategy.
This is why all those people, when they say like, oh, I didn't need algebra, and you learn, and they said, show your work. And they're like, why do I have to show my work if I have the right answer? It's this. This is why you had to show your work. Because
I didn't know how you're going to tie that in.
I mean, that's exactly why. Let's jump to trait number 4. This is one that I feel like is really important, and a lot of people just don't have, is adaptability.
Yeah, adaptability. So that's being able to change, right? Whenever the winds change, the goals change, the company changes, and being adaptable to plug in wherever it matters. I think that's a lot of it, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, as somebody that has practiced Agile for years, this whole idea of being adaptable and not stuck on this like rigorous plan is really important. I think it's really like, it's so valuable because, you know, the market can change in a week. I mean, if we look at, let's go to 2020. If we had created a 12-month marketing strategy for a client and rolled it out in November, they approved it, budgets, everything. Like we know what we're doing from January 1 to December 31. Well, here's March 15th. The world is completely different. What if I'm not able to adapt? Like, what happens, you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, you just wouldn't be here, right?
Right.
So, what do you think the root cause of people who are inflexible and not adaptable?
I mean, if I had to drill down, I think it's fear, like fear of accountability, fear of like, I'm afraid I'm going to get it wrong.
Failing.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I go back to like the Agile Manifesto, fail fast. And, you know, and we've seen that before, like with, you know, team members and stuff who've said, well, that just feels like it's one more thing I could mess up. And it's like that.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And I think that whole concept of like, you know, we've got a plan, we've got to stick with it. And I mean, we've heard it before. People are like, well, but we gave them a plan and now they want to change. And it's like, well, right, because their business isn't doing as well, or because this happened. And so therefore this needs to happen. And if you can't shift with that, like it's a detriment to your success as a marketer.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it's a detriment to your success. Really in any role, I think. Right. So I know that these are the 7 traits of a good B2B marketer, but really is it just the 7 traits of a successful person
The
at work.
successful worker.
Yes.
Are we the new Stephen Covey?
Oh my
What was
God.
what was the book? The 7 Habits of Highly Successful
Yes,
People.
yes.
This might be a book, Hami.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you guys are witnessing it right now. This is
The 7 traits of a good B2B marketer, TM.
Oh, I'm going to write it. Actually, I'll just write it this afternoon. I'll just ask ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, yeah. Guys, check it out on Amazon. The 7 traits of a highly successful marketer, self-published.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, well, let me ask you about adaptability, because again, it's rooted in fear.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already that you have to overcome as a human, being willing to be accountable, being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Can that be taught? Can you be taught to be adaptable?
I think you can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can, because a lot of this goes back to control, right? You feel like out of control. You have to remember that the only thing you can control truly is yourself. And if you can't control what's happening around you, and things are going to change, that is the constant, right? How you handle it is what you have within your control. And so I think that is the learning. It's the not being adaptable is the learning. It's the understanding that you can control your own ways that you react to things. That doesn't mean underneath you're not feeling anxiety or like a ball of nerves or whatever. I think that you definitely can portray this on the outward side, a calmness, right? And so, and then also being adaptable and say, okay, so I can't change that. What I can change is this other thing.
I feel like it's almost cognitive behavioral therapy, where it's like you've got to let somebody fail a few times and show them that like the world doesn't end.
Right.
Like you didn't get fired because you made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And so it's okay.
I'm going to go back to that fear, that idea of fear. This is something that we talk about all the time at my house, is that, you can fear some things, but what is on the other side of fear? Right. What is on the other side of fear?
Failure.
I don't listen to him. The other side of fear, there is nothing. There's nothing. And so what do you have to be afraid of? Just push through, and then you will see that on the other side, there's literally nothing.
Right. So I think so far we have said traits 1 through 4 can all either be taught or faked.
Yes.
So it's good news for marketers.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to switch to my next index card, okay. Branded index card, to go to number 5, collaboration.
You need to be collaborative. Don't be working in silo, Stephen.
Listen, I have my reasons. And when we talk about collaboration, we're not just talking about marketers collaborating with each other. We're talking about you've got to be collaborative with other departments, mm-hmm. Especially sales. I mean, I think we could beat that drum all day, but like I think it's other departments too: finance, operations,
IT,
legal.
Oh, yes.
And
they
collaborate early, because it will take them forever.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But yeah, I think collaboration is the idea of silos. I mean, silos have never produced better work. Like working in a silo has never made anything better.
No. I'm going to go back to sales though. I mean, it really is, you have to think, yes, they do. Sales does a different thing than the marketing department does, right? That we all know that. But if you are in the C-suite, or you're in the legal department, or you're in IT, they look at sales and marketing. We're all the same. We're together. We're working on the same team. And at the end of the day, we are working on the same team. So don't go creating a bunch of sales stuff or a bunch of marketing, and the sales people, they don't know. They don't know anything about it, and you're just sending them something, and they have never seen it before. They had no input into it whatsoever. That's when the animosity starts. That's when the MQLs come in. They don't get worked. the marketing team says, well, the sales team is lazy, and the sales team says, well, MQLs are terrible.
Right.
That's when that happens.
Well, and sales team, let the marketing team talk to your customers. Don't be afraid to let us talk to them, because we need to understand the customers as well, if not more so than you do, to create stuff that's going to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're talking about with collaboration. Like if the marketing team just goes off and creates a bunch of stuff, like Hami said, and the sales team is like, well, this is not what our people want. Can we talk to your people? No, I don't want to do that to them. All right, well, then this is what you can expect. Like it's a collaboration is a two-way street, but good marketers have to be open to collaborating.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
So-
the most successful marketing departments that we work with and have worked with in the past, they work very closely with the sales team, and they have a really great relationship. I mean, is it sunshine and rainbows all the time? No, but you are working towards the same goal. We're all working towards the same goal. Let's
Right.
bring some more leads and revenue in, right?
It's interesting how all these traits like kind of trickle down to each other, like clarity, strategic thinking. If we're all working toward the same thing, like this might be a better end product.
Right.
So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is marketing still a thing?
smarketing was never a thing. I've always hated that word. I don't know who coined that.
Well, I don't know who coined it, but HubSpot was definitely the person or the
They
group
used it.
used it so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Smarketing is not a thing. Like, please never use that in front of us. Is it smales?
Smells?
Marls?
Sales? No. Sarketing?
Sarketing? Sarlketing?
No, what is it? Males? Males.
Males, yes. MALES.
Yes, males.
That is the new direction. Like, if you went to inbound and you heard about the loop, forget about it. It's males. That's where we're headed right now.
Really setting women back 20 years on this podcast.
Hami is a fierce advocate for women. Her new platform is males. All right. So I think I'm going to take a quick pause to pour some more wine, because if we do it on camera, it's going to be a disaster, because Hami is wearing all white, and she has done this before. And you can see on the screen right now what happened when she wore all white to a wine tasting in Napa. All right, Hami, can collaboration be taught?
Yes.
I agree. I think this is an easy one. It's like, if you're not a collaborative person, you're trained how to be more collaborative. And if you don't do it, just get out.
Right. You just won't. I mean, yeah. And most people are like, okay, so I don't want to talk to this person, but I have to talk to this person. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be hard to justify any of these traits that we talk about saying they can't be taught or learned. So,
right.
But
Yeah.
with that, let's move on to number 6.
All right.
Be-
I'm very passionate about this one. And that is be easy to work with. You want people to want to work with you.
It's interesting that you're passionate about it, but you don't exhibit this trait.
Excuse me?
Joking. Yeah, be easy to work with.
Because you're going to eventually get into a situation where you're going to need to get something done. And when people want to work with you and you're easy to work with, people will then go above and beyond for you, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you will need that favor. That's just inevitable. You're going to need it.
Well, and we've all had that person that we're like, I'm not willing to ask them for anything.
No.
I don't even want to ask because they're going to be an asshole about it. Like, I mean, and nobody wants to go to that person.
Right.
I mean, we've seen that. We've dealt with that in multiple jobs.
Yeah. And I think that this is something that it's not just on your own team, right? You want to be easy to work with if you're an agency. You want to be easy to work with if you're a marketing director. You want to be easy to work with if you are a CMO, because that's when people will get stuff done for you. I mean, this,
right.
I can't emphasize it enough. Nobody wants to deal with the people that aren't pleasant.
Well, and I go back to a boss that I had early on in my career who at that point I would have followed anywhere. And one of the lessons that I learned from her was she said, one day she said she did something, like she kind of fell on the sword for the team over something. And I was like, why did you do that? Like, that had nothing to do with you. And she was like, because if I don't, she's like, then you all aren't going to stand up for me. And she was like, and I want to be able to turn around one day and see all of you all walking behind me, like supporting me. And that stuck with me because I was like, that's exactly the kind of leader that I want to be. Like, to have a team where they say, you know what, we messed up, but not necessarily that this person took the fall for us, but like, we can all mess up together because this person is willing to put their neck out for us. So we're willing to put our neck out for him.
Right.
And I don't think being easy to work with means like you've got to be Polly Pocket and sunshine and rainbows all day long. But like, just don't be an asshole.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does being easy to work with mean that you say yes to everything?
No, absolutely not. And I think about the last company that I worked for. There was a marketing request form that was sent out to the entire company. It was like, if you need anything from marketing, just fill out this form. And so like there was a culture of marketing is just a group of order takers. So when I started leading the marketing department, the first thing I did was to disable that form. That didn't mean we weren't easy to work with. It just meant we weren't there to say yes to every request that came in. And there was somebody that came in and said, oh, I need the marketing team to design a t-shirt for our team. And I said, okay, we can add that to our backlog, but we prioritize our activities based on business value. So we're probably not going to get to that for a really long time, if ever. So I would recommend looking at maybe hiring a freelancer for that. And, you know, some people may be put off by that, but like our responsibility was to the success of the business and the goals of the business. So we couldn't just say yes. That doesn't mean, I mean, sure, somebody may have been like, God, they're not easy to work with, but that, I don't think that's the case there. So I don't think it means just saying yes. I think it means saying yes to the important things, but also looking at the important things through the lens of like, what are our goals? Is what you're asking for getting us closer to that?
Right.
So
we don't talk about business. We haven't talked about business value and business goals as much here. But that is something that we do talk about very often with clients that we work with. And every marketer should be talking about his business goals. And so whenever something does come in, it always comes in and you don't want to do it. Either you don't want to do it or you don't feel like that's valuable or whatever that might be, or you just don't have the bandwidth. Or for us, a lot of times it's maybe, you know, a scope issue or there's already too many things in the pipeline. It is a negotiation.
Right.
This is an opportunity for you to negotiate and say, yes, we can do that. And here's what that looks like. I think that, you know, I know that we're going to talk about, I don't know if we've talked about it already, if this is something that can be taught, collaboration.
We do with collaboration. Yes, that could be taught.
Oh, sorry. Be easy to work with.
Yeah, we've not made it there yet.
Easy to work with. The easy to work with piece of it, though, this is an opportunity for you to appear that you're easy to work with. And you are.
Right.
Don't say no. I think that that's really hard for a lot of people to say, to not say no.
Right.
So I think that's when people start shutting down.
Yeah. And we've seen that where people have been viewed internally as like, well, they say no to everything. And if that's your default answer, you're automatically going to be viewed as hard to work with. And so I actually learned this in an improv class because I always struggled with the improv concept of yes and, because I felt like people used it as it was agreement. Like, yes, we'll do that and we'll add to it, where what it really means is, yes, I'm acknowledging what you're saying and let's take that to the next like phase to figure out how we work this into our improv routine or whatever. I think that's how we should view it as being easy to work with. It's yes and. Yes, I've acknowledged your request. And let's look at this through the lens of everything else we're doing, or through the lens of is this moving the needle on our clarity before tactics?
This is the basis of improv. And I think that everybody should take an improv class.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a real improv class where you like have to actually get to know the people, because what happens is when somebody gives you something on stage, right? You have to take it and make something of it. You can't just stop and say, "Oh, well, okay, no, no." So that's like in the office proverbial no. You say, "Okay, yes, let's build on that. This is what that looks like." And so I think they be easy to work with can be subjective, of course. But when you say in your mind, yes, and this is what that looks like. Yes, and we need to move something else around. What is the real priority here? I think that makes you look easy to work with and super smart.
Right. And I think if you automatically default to no, we can't, or well, we've done that before, so we're not going to do it again, that automatically makes you not easy to work with. At least that is the perception. So if you feel like you are the no person and you want to be easier to work with, the quickest way to learn that, take an improv class. That is our advice.
And it's super fun too.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've thought about joining an improv troupe. Number 7. This is the last one. This is a lukewarm take.
I actually think this is a hot take this week.
Okay.
For some people.
And I do think this trait has always existed in marketing as an important trait. But I think with the rise of AI, it has become increasingly important. And probably, I don't want to say that this is the most important trait of a good marketer, but I think it's up there.
Yeah. So what is it?
It's taste.
What do you mean by taste, Steven?
Oh,
you mean like
God.
how you taste something like food?
No, I mean, God, is something good or not? Like,
what does good marketing look like, right?
Right. Like, and I think going back to the slop-pocalypse or whatever, like, there are so many people that see this content, like AI generated content. And I don't want to say like all AI generated content is garbage, because it's not. There are people who are creating really great stuff with the assistance of AI. But there are a lot of people who don't know the difference. And they see stuff that's out there and they're like, well, it's better if we get 3,000 blogs a week versus one every 2 weeks, because they don't have any taste. They don't know the difference between good marketing and just like, that's fine. And it's not just copy, it's design. Like, you can know how to use Illustrator, Figma, put together like the best color palette, but that doesn't mean you've got taste when it comes to design. Like, I just think taste is such an underrated skill. And I'm not saying like, we have the most taste, but I just think it's so important, and knowing the difference between good and not good marketing.
Yeah, just knowing what good looks like, right? And I think that this is where this is a lot of conversation we have, is a lot of the C-suite doesn't know what good taste is when it comes to marketing. And so something that sounds right, sounds good, it may not work.
Right. And design is subjective. It's always been subjective. And, we've learned with clients, there are some audiences that don't respond to like polished marketing. They want something that feels more homegrown from a salesperson. And so like, you might look at that and say like, oh, the taste that has no taste, but like, that's what works for that audience. So I think there is like a level of like, it doesn't have to be Ogilvy level design to have taste. Taste means like, does this hit the brief for that audience and that message? And I know you're not a fan, or maybe fan is the wrong word, but you didn't watch The Real Housewives of New York. But
speaking of taste,
yes, high class, tasteful women. Countess Luann de Lesseps had a hit single called "Money Can't Buy You Class." I feel like similarly, A high-priced designer can't necessarily buy you taste. The world's best copywriter doesn't buy you taste. So Countess was onto something here. Can taste be learned? It can't be bought. We know that from the
No.
Real Housewives.
Yes, that's right. The next episode is going to be about the lessons we learned, marketing lessons learned from the Real Housewives of New York.
I actually think that would be a great.
Right.
We could do one on every franchise, not
Well,
just
I
New
can do
York.
Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can do Atlanta and Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Can taste be taught?
Yeah. I have opinions.
Okay.
I don't think taste can be taught. However, I do think we can give parameters to people that don't have the correct level of taste. I don't want to say people that have no taste, because I don't know that there are people that don't have any taste.
It's just not the taste that you like.
Right. But I think, like I said, you can know Illustrator, you can know Figma. That doesn't mean you can put together great designs. But I think if you give somebody that maybe doesn't have that level of taste parameters and give them guidelines, and you say, like, this is, you can teach that. You can teach somebody how to stay within a set of parameters that's going to be acceptable to the client, or that's going to be acceptable for the brand. So I think that part, and the same with copy, like, you might be the world's best grammarian, but that doesn't mean you're writing great marketing copy. But we can give you the guidelines, we can give you the tone, we can give you the things to say about this company that hit the mark. I don't think that gives you taste, but I think it gives you guidelines and guardrails to produce work that is passable.
I mean, I don't have anything else to say because you took all my talking points, Stephen. So.
This might be, if I were willing to die on a hill, which I'm not, I'm willing to be pushed down on a hill, not die on it. We'll just keep these idioms going. This one is my soapbox today. Taste.
All 7 of them, I think they are incredibly important, because let's just say you do have good taste, but you're hard to work with and you don't have any clarity before your tactics, and you're not adaptable and you can't collaborate, then what
Right.
are you?
Okay, Hami, we've said that all of the 7 traits can either be taught, trained, nurtured, or faked, or given guardrails around. So I think that's really good news for people out there that are like, I don't have that skill, or I don't have that quality. Like, I don't think it's hopeless.
No, not at all. And I think that, beyond that, of course, these are things that make you a successful marketer, B2B marketer, but these are things that you should be looking for actively in your team as well.
Right.
If you're hiring people.
Yeah. Regardless of whether you're agency or in-house, like, these are just the qualities of a good marketer anywhere.
Right.
Okay, Hami, I would argue that you and I are probably fairly good marketers. We probably exhibit these skills.
I mean, really, these skills that we put out there, these traits, they were based on us.
I mean,
if you guys couldn't tell.
I mean, of course, it's essentially it's kind of based on our shared values. We started a company together, and these are things that we think are important. These are traits we value in each other, and we feel like we exhibit. So that's what we look for in hiring. That does not mean we have not made mistakes in our career, or blunders. I don't like the word mistake.
Blunders. I don't know.
Missteps,
maybe. Things that maybe we were wrong about.
Yeah.
Well, it's a new segment, right?
Yeah.
Let me use my
cards. Branded
here.
cards. So, and I think that's important to know too, is that, like, we've made mistakes, or we've been wrong.
Oh yeah, we've definitely been wrong. And I'll start first.
Okay.
So the example I always use every single time is a client. It's a client story about an email campaign. Well, it started as an email series that I just thought was the most horrible idea. It was a client that said that, what we should do? We should send emails with recipes on them to our email list.
And to be clear, was this client in the food and beverage industry?
No, they were
Okay.
not. They were in oil and gas. And I said, I really didn't even know what to say, actually.
I remember when this conversation happened because after the call, you brought it to, like, you talked to me about it. And I was like, what? I was like, that
Yes.
makes no sense.
Yes. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, I have no reason to think that this email campaign is bad, except for maybe I didn't think that it would do anything.
Right.
Right. It just was a mismatch.
It felt off brand.
Yes. Yeah, it felt off brand. But I mean, their rationale was that they were based in New Orleans, and so I mean, it's their marketing at the end of the day. So I said, all right, let's test it. Let's just see how it will work. How do you envision? This is one of my. This is a secret question that I always pull out. Is do you have a vision for this? How do you envision this happening? And so they did. They had thought it through and they talked it through, and they're very. This particular client is very thoughtful, and so I was not surprised. So they really did think it through. I just thought that was a weird line of thinking. Anyway, so we ended up sending these emails out and with these recipes. And the thought process was that, well, you know, it kind of brings people together. Food brings people together, and it's another touch point to get our brand in front of them. And then, you know, New Orleans brand, and it's really core to what we do here is eat. And so sent it out, and it really went over well. That was years and years ago.
I was like, they've been doing it for what?
Oh gosh,
5 years?
Like 5 years or 4 or more. No, before the pandemic, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it has gone over well. It has gone over well to this day. They don't send it all the time. It's just mixed in with their emails, and they get comments about it all the time. And then prospects respond to it, and it is just the most fascinating thing. And so for me, it was a really big learning lesson of, hey, you know, I don't know everything there is to know about marketing. And at the end of the day, these people that we're marketing to are people. And so you just really never know what's going to resonate with the audience. So if somebody comes up with this oddball idea, I'm going to say, you know, I don't know if it'll work or not, but let's test it and see if it will work.
Right. I think it goes back to two things: adaptability and being easy to work with.
Yeah.
You said yes, and we will try it. And, you know, our initial assumptions were incorrect.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So now if there's anybody internally or somebody, you know, that we work with comes up with an idea and somebody else kind of like poo-poos it, I always bring up that example and say, you know, oil and gas company sends out this recipe email. It works, and it's been working, and I never thought it would.
And, yeah. And that's my answer, like, to when people say, well, we've tried that before. My response is always, well, we've tried that before, so the problem may have been in the execution. So if you can bring it to me and execute it in a different way, then let's try it again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So how about you?
Oh, so mine
There's
is,
so many.
I know, just daily. Probably the biggest and most public was the previous company I worked for. We did an annual user conference. And every year, our users in the feedback survey said, we want it to be more technical. It needs to be more high tech. Like, it needs just more technical content. So we thought, okay, how can we make it more technical? How can we tie that into the theme of the conference? And each year, the conference had its own branding, its own theme. We put together a microsite, a whole 6-month campaign. And that year, we would move it around from Houston every other year to a different city around the country to make it more accessible for our user base who are located all across the world. So that year, it just happened to be in Denver. That was also the same year that Denver or Colorado legalized recreational weed. So we got this idea to theme the conference high tech, HIGH. It was the most clever play on words. we presented this to executives. The entire company saw this and approved it like months before it ever launched. And we were at a trade show the day the website went live and the first communication went out. And one customer called in to support and was like, I can't believe you all did this. This is so immature. Is this the kind of company you are? Like one customer out of millions.
It only takes one.
Right. And so everybody got up in arms, and then people on the team, because we use like photography that we had done internally, people were like, I don't want my picture associated with this. And like internal people were like, I don't want my picture on this campaign. So we literally took the website down, had to regroup. I forget what the theme ended up being. The marketing team, as soon as we got back from this trade show, had to regroup, slap something together. And I think this is going back to the concept of strategic thinking. Like, even though it was, I still to this day think a really clever campaign and approved at every level of the company before it was ever launched. This was not something the marketing team did in a silo. We failed to look around all the corners. We didn't really consider the whole of the audience. We said, okay, this has been approved. We've talked to a couple of customers about it. We think it's going to be fine. We didn't look 3 steps ahead and around those corners to see, like, is there going to be any pushback? And we failed to see that. And so it caused a scramble. Ended up being successful at the end of the day. Still to this day, I think it was probably some of the best marketing work I've done.
Right.
But in hindsight, there should have been more forethought and more pushback. And, I wish people at the top had said, like, hey guys, have you thought about this? Have you? And no one did. So that was on us to have looked at it more closely.
So if you were to do that campaign now, could you run it through ChatGPT and say, hey, what kind of pushback could I get from the audience?
Yes. And I think if you just ran it through ChatGPT in general and said, like, let me know your thoughts on this, like, without even much context, I think ChatGPT would be like, here's some things to look out for. But yeah, that wasn't an option then. But yeah. I do think, that would be a red flag that would get thrown up.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to get in your this group think, right? And say that, oh, I like it. And then everybody else is like, well, okay, I like it too. And then everybody likes it and say, let's move forward with things. And it
wasn't just like the high tech, like the theme too. Like there were so many like dazed and confused type references throughout the copy of like, there weren't like weed symbols, but we did use a very specific green for the color palette. Mm-hmm. Like it was very well thought out, except not well thought out.
Right. Yeah. So, well thought out, but not in the
fully thought out
right way.
So anyways, that was probably the biggest and most public misstep that I've had.
Okay.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Learn. That's the thing is you have to try. As marketers, I think that this is where we have to remember that our job is to take it as far as we can possibly take it until legal says this is too much.
It's easier to scale back than to push it forward.
Is exactly right.
So luckily I'm adaptable. I exhibit that trait. And my whole team was adaptable. So we were able to adapt. I'm curious, do you guys agree that these are 7 traits that make a good B2B marketer? Is there something else that we're missing? I would love to hear it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Or if you're on any of the channels that we're on, because as a reminder, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, and we're on Instagram and LinkedIn. We're on all the channels. So anywhere you see us, if you see this video or listen to this podcast, let us know. Is there anything that we missed that we should be looking out for in the future?
Yeah. So before we wrap it up, Hami, what did you think of this Pinot Noir from the Willamette Valley?
I, at first, did not like it, but I think the more that it had room to breathe, the better it got.
I agree.
So,
I like it. The first drink I had, I was like, I don't know about this. But now we're to, if it's fair to say, glasses in.
Glasses.
Look, we're looking for sponsors
Yes.
for some proper wine glasses. Our intention is not to be drinking out of plastic cups every episode, but when we get that $1 an episode, 20 listeners, we will get some proper wine glasses.
Yes.
But in the meantime, like, follow, subscribe, rate, review everywhere you listen to podcasts. Cheers.
Cheers.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll see you at the next happy hour.